Underground 3 is pretty damn close, so I thought I'd put together a series talking about just that. Talking about everything that's being released about Underground 3, any hints, any leaks, any rumours, anything like that, just so I can talk to you guys about it, because you know I like talking, it's kind of what I do here. So, Underground 3, let me just begin by saying Underground 3 may not necessarily be Underground 3 when it releases. It may just be an Underground based game. So it may be called like a reboot. Underground Need for Speed was rumoured, which is completely fake. I'll probably go over that in the future. And then we've got Need for Speed Underground. It could be a reboot like it was before, or it could be called Need for Speed Not Carbon, because I'm the most creative person on the planet and I couldn't think of anything else to say. So, let's get on with it. Why do I think Underground 3 or customization is going to be the next Need for Speed in the series? I've got a few things that may kind of lead and hint towards the next Need for Speed being Underground, starting all the way back in 2013. So let's start there when I asked Marcus Nielsen this question.
We'll have one more question just over there as well, then we'll wrap up, thanks.
So since Black Box has gone, the progression seems to have died a bit, and I was wondering if it was ever going to come back, as in I get a low-class car and be able to upgrade it to match some of the others, rather than have a really low-class car that can keep up with the Ferrari like recently.
So if I understood the question correctly, if you could have lower tier cars that you could build up and upgrade so they can compete with higher end cars. I think there's a future there, I'll tell you that much. I don't think that you will find that functionality in Rivals specifically, even though that you can obviously tune and upgrade your cars in Rivals. They're all kind of sports or high-end supercars. But as I said, part of the reason of making personalization in this game is that it actually makes sense to have personalization for the first time in a long time because of the open world and the seamless integration of friends. Likewise, I think it's there's a future of doing what you're saying, of having other lower tier cars that you have more flexibility in upgrading to what you want them to be. And also go deeper on customization, as I said.
So yeah, that was me in Eurogamer 2013 asking Marcus Nielsen if underground style, leveling and having the lower end cars compete with higher end cars once you upgraded them, that sort of stuff, if that was ever going to come back to Need for Speed. And he answered with a big fat yes, basically. He was hinting already that the Need for Speed series was already going to Underground, although that doesn't necessarily mean the next Need for Speed was planned to be Underground 3 or customization based. You can clearly see the intention was there since the beginning of Ghost Games, taking control of this series, because we've been asking for it since before Rivals was announced, before, Hot Pursuit came out. So these guys actually listened and replied to comments at the time of when this whole Eurogamer thing began. So very, very exciting. Now, there were two questions that were actually not in that clip that I just showed you, and the reason is two clips were asked by two other people, and the two other questions were, are there going to be bikes in Need for Speed, and will there be another Burnout game? Those were the worst questions you could have ever asked, and if I could speak to those people in real life, I would ask, why did you waste my opportunity to ask three proper questions? But I got one in, so it's fine. Anyway, moving on to the next part, why else do I think? There was a message left on the Need for Speed website when Need for Speed says it wasn't going to come out for 2014. This also tied in with the closure of the UK side of Ghost Games, or the rest of Criterion that was moved from Criterion kind of thing. They closed that, and it was assumed that those guys were working on the next Need for Speed. And I'm guessing now that Ghost has taken over that Need for Speed that they were working on, or at least they scrapped that completely and decided, right, we need to listen to what the people want, and started making their own, meaning they've had quite a long development time they've got until November this year to finish their game, and we're going to see it at E3. But here's the message on the website if you really want to read that. Final point to bring up, Need for Speed No Limits. That's a mobile game released by Fire Monkeys, which is not developed by Ghost Games in any way whatsoever, but obviously it's still Need for Speed. So we've got a soft release of Need for Speed No Limits. The actual full proper game is coming out later this year, and it's very, very Need for Speed Underground oriented. You've got very crazy customization from people actually sending me pictures on Twitter and stuff because they've got the hacked version on mobile. You can customize headlights, rims, everything you could that you can get massive wide bodies on all the cars. The car list is very small at the moment, but that's obviously because of the fact there's so many customization options for the rims and such. You'll be able to search up gameplay for Need for Speed No Limits, and it's got crazy customization. It's got upgrades in the sense that the crew had, it's kind of level based, so it's looking very, very good for the next Need for Speed. Keep in mind, this is not the next Need for Speed. No Limits is not the next Need for Speed to come out, as in it's not the full console release. The console game is not going to be called No Limits. It's just a mobile game. You may not like mobile games, but it does hint towards the future of Underground, being customization, being Underground 3. But anyway, that pretty much wraps up the main points I have hinting towards Underground 3. I think all of them are significant in their own ways, and they clearly do state that, from the message, for example, that says Underground 3 is going to be a thing, we're going to do what you want, and Need for Speed No Limits is doing what we want, but in a mobile game, Marcus Nilsson was hinting that he's going to do what we want. So now all they've got to do is do what we want. Until next time, guys, if you've got anything for me to discuss, leave it down below. If you like this series, please give it a like. Lets me know you want to see more. Peace.